and gentlemen, welcome to Leadership in Politics with Dr. Abraham. With me today, Dr. Edwin Locke. Dr. Edwin, welcome to the show. Let's start with your latest book. Which one is the latest book, this one or this one?
The Illusion of Determinism.
The Illusion. Okay, so tell me about this book. What is it all about? And it's free will, right?
Well, the issue of free will came up not exactly with the ancient Greeks, but almost. But later on, it became an issue throughout history. It's been written about thousands of times, partly by religionists, partly by non-religionists, partly by scientists. The pretty conventional view today, especially by people in science, is that free will is an illusion. Everything is determined by either your environment or your genetics or your instinct, and you don't have choices. And that's the way your life is. And to think you have free will and can make your own choices is a mistake made by ignorant people who don't follow science. So my book is in complete disagreement with that. And so I'll mention two things to start, make it short. Number one, the concept of determinism leads to an insuperable contradiction. And what they're saying is, whatever you believe or do is out of your control. It's caused by other factors. Some say it starts with the Big Bang, and the law of causality in physics led inexorably to what you're doing right this minute. And if you think you can make choices, you're deluded. Now, what's the problem with this view? If it were true, then it would mean that there'd be no point in having a discussion about the issue, because it'd be a discussion between competing robots. Okay, we're just robots. If we're predetermined, my robot says this, and your robot says this. We both know we're right, the other guy's wrong. Other guy says the same thing, and you get nowhere. So it's really a philosophy of complete failure in the realm of knowledge. There can't be any validated knowledge. And what's the fundamental choice in my book is the capacity to use your mind, which is the rational faculty. In other words, sense perception is automatic. Okay? I look at you and I see your face. I don't make a choice. It's right there. And I see your features, see your color, your hair, your background, your clothing. That's automatic, not chosen. And the senses detect you, the brain processes, and that's what I see. But the rational level, for which humans are capable of, is a higher level. It means you can integrate sensory material to form concepts, including formulating language, formulating the laws of epistemology, formulating science, writing treatises on philosophy, whether you're a religionist or an atheist or neither of the above.
I read the book and I kind of know the conclusion, but tell me in a sentence or two, what's the conclusion of the free will?
Free will is a philosophical principle.
Okay.
It can't be proven or disproven by science. You have to acknowledge free will before you can have science.
So are we telling to the audience there is a free will or there is no free will?
There is.
There is a free will.
Capacity to use the rational faculty, choosing to think or not to think. That brings us above the level of the lower animals. They perceive, but they don't have the capacity to make choices. They don't have the capacity to think rationally.
I want to talk about the free will in this book. So at the end, there is a free will.
The free will, your choice to raise your mind from sense perception to the conceptual level of reason. And that's volitional. Choice to focus your mind and includes forming concepts, understanding language, communicating with others, making choices. That's the fundamental nature of a human being.
Thank you for signing this book. I appreciate it. I read it. It's in my library now. Let's talk about the second. And when we're going to talk about where people can find it. Very interesting topics and ideas and insight. The second book is The Selfish Path to Romance. What's the premise of this book? What is it all about?
Typically, what you find in the field of romance, some of it's religiously based. All romance isn't religiously based, but a lot of it is. Christian religion is very big in romance writings, but typically the way when you discuss a romance, what it ends up as in real life with people is one of two things. One is altruism. Altruism means philosophically otherism. Otherism doesn't mean kindness. That doesn't mean kindness. It means otherism. You live only to serve others, and that's the meaning of your life. That's the highest level of virtue. That's otherism, altruism. Now, on the other hand, we have self-interest, but one of the ways it's formulated in unfortunately in romance is it's narcissism. Narcissism is it's a me-only world. So altruism is a you-only world, and narcissism it's a me-only world. So what do you have in many common romantic relationships? A me-only world fighting with a you-only world. It doesn't work very well. Often historically, the man's the narcissist. It's male dominant. And the woman's supposed to be the altruist. And men get furious if women won't serve. And women get furious if men dominate them and don't treat them as equal. So our book is that an ideal romance is mutual self-interest. In other words, you value your life and you value your spouse's life. They value their life and they value your life. You each support the other's values. You each try to pursue your own values, but in the meantime, making sure you're including supporting the other person's values. And so it makes a society of equals. Our view, Dr. Kenner and I, is that mutual valuing is the ideal. Support each other's values. You make decisions together, at least big decisions, and you listen to each other and you value each other, both in everyday life and in sex. You value your pleasure and you love giving them pleasure, and they value their pleasure and they love giving you pleasure. So it's mutual satisfaction and happiness.
What happens if that became the rules of the game?
I think everyone would be much happier.
Harmony.
Yeah, it's harmony, but it's harmony. It's not, and if you say that harmony is a little bit dangerous, because it could be you're both the altruist, you're both self-sacrificing, and you both hate each other. You're in harmony or misery. It's self-interest and interest for the others because they're a selfish value to you. What does it mean to love another? It means they're a value. You don't marry somebody out of pity unless you're crazy. Somebody once wrote a story about altruistic marriage. So the man says to the woman, "Dearest, I know we've been dating for 2 years, and I've decided I don't think you're that attractive. I don't think you're that good looking. I don't think you're that sexy. No fun discussion with you. It's not very interesting even being with you or doing things with you. But I'd like to marry you because you need me. So will you marry me? I'll marry you out of pity."
Marriage of convenience.
And she should slap you in the face. You said that, right? Disgusting. So ours is different. I want to marry you because I love your virtues. I love your values. I love being with you. You bring happiness to my life. And if I bring happiness to your life in the same way, there's a good chance we can be happy together. So that's the theme of our book. We
Nice.
we cover many related topics like virtues. What do virtues have to do with romance? So we talk about sex, we talk about communication, we talk about
Self-esteem.
self-esteem, we talk about visibility,
Yes.
which is from Aristotle, by the way, and understanding our own emotions. Our emotions are based on subconscious values, which can be discovered. And so ideally, you can have a happy romance where nobody sacrifices to anyone and you have mutual valuing. So that's the theme of our book. Many people from the title think, oh my God, this is about narcissism. And of course it's not, but I understand why they would misinterpret the
What
title.
would be another title to give if, let's say, you want to rebrand this? What would be another title you give to?
Ellen's working on what do you call it? Doing the book online with a narrator, with a reader.
Yes.
And a woman reader, I think, would be the best one. And she would read the entire thing, and we would make it, and we would make a new title so people wouldn't get misled, such as Happiness Through Mutual Valuing.
You have your book with you?
Both these books are reviewed on Amazon, by the way.
Where can people find those two books?
Amazon books.
Amazon.com.
Free Will book was actually published through BookBaby on publication, and Selfish Pet Romance was published privately, but it's sold on Amazon Books. So
on Amazon.
Available.
That's wonderful. People interested in this, I read them, both books. I very much endorse them.
Well,
so Amazon.com. Let's talk about the goal setting theory. How did that come about? Are you still developing this or working on it, or that's it? It's a theory in the study book, because I teach that in my classes, in my MBA classes. This is one of the theories I teach.
I'll tell you where I started. I came to graduate school, which was in 1960. No, that was, sorry, 60. No, 64. I graduated from graduate school and went to University of, soon after that, University of Maryland. So the dominant theories of motivation in psychology was one Freud, which was all motivation is due to instincts, namely the ID, which is the it, which is subconscious instinct, which for him pretty much dominated the person. The id was a threat to civilization, and the conscious mind is not very powerful. On the other side, at the same time, the dominant thought thinking was B.F. Skinner, the famous behaviorist. Skinner said, you're dominated by forces outside your control. Just like Freud, you have no free will, but the thing that dominates you is environmental conditioning. Environmental conditioning controls your life. Freud, the id controls your life. For Skinner, the environment controls your life. Both agreed the rational faculty doesn't rule your life, doesn't have any power to speak of. So when I went to grad school, I was reading a book by my advisor, Pat Smith, who was one of the early women industrial psychologists. And in her book with T.A. Ryan was a graph of a goal-setting study. And somebody in 1935 in the UK did an experiment where half the people got specific goals to pursue on a task, and half were told to do their best. And it was in the book, and it was in their book. There's a big graph, and the people told to reach a goal did way better. So I said to my advisor that this looks a lot more sensible than Skinner and Freud. Couldn't we talk about psychology from the point of view of conscious goals? And they said, yeah, that's why we put it in the book. So, okay. So I said, okay, I'm going to start researching this by doing experiments on conscious goals. on task. And it worked. And then I did more, and I did my dissertation, and it worked. Then I published it, and it worked. And other people said, I got this might be useful to me, unlike the other guy. I'm going to try it, and it worked. And other people said, it worked for him, I'm going to try it again. And then it multiplied, and multiplied and multiplied, because everyone was doing it, and hundreds of people were doing it. And so over time, a huge literature accumulated to summarize in our 1990 book, A Theory of Goal Setting and Task Performance, which was putting together about 400 studies done by us and many other people, putting all the pieces together, okay, into a theory. I should tell you, most theories in psychology are just word sounds. They're not validated things like the book was. They're just word sounds. So this was a theory based on actual research, integrated. And we said, okay, how should goals be set? And we found out goals should be clear. So don't try to do your best, because you won't. It's too vague. So let's make goals clear. Well, how about clear goals that are really easy? That's not such a good idea. If you said easy goals, you won't accomplish much. So let's set goals that are challenging. So the two crucial things were goals that are challenging and reachable. Not impossible, but reachable. But clear, so you won't have vague goals like, I'm going to do my best, whatever that means. So that was with the core. Then we said, well, what if you want to use this in business successfully and good experiments? What would you have to do aside from that? So we built it little by little. Well, you've got to have feedback. Otherwise, you can't keep track of how you're doing.
Evaluations, yes.
Got to have feedback. Making graphs or making lists, or putting down numbers. I'm going to finish this in 90 days. Or I'm going to do one study every 12 months, et cetera, et cetera. So specific and general and feedback. And then we said, well, feedback isn't enough. Supposing you have a goal and you don't know how to do it. So you have to have knowledge, okay? Expertise, skill, knowledge. So imagine a truck. The driver jumps out, keeps the engine running. So you got power, right? Got the power of the goal. Big engine, big truck, big combustion engine. Where's the truck going to go? Off a cliff. So you need knowledge. Where am I going to go and how am I going to get there? So you need feedback, check your progress. You have knowledge. Then I said, okay, well, supposing you are proud of all the goals you have. I knew a guy many years ago that said, I want to be president. I was doing therapy at the time. And I said, okay, well, what do you want to be president of? He said, I want to be president of the United States. So this guy was a waiter in a restaurant. And I said, okay, tell me the path you're going to use. And it was all BS. It wasn't a real goal. They weren't committed to it in any way. If you're going to commit to it, you got to have a long-term plan, starting to get into politics.
Yeah.
He was a waiter. Okay. So you've got to have commitment to the goal, which means you really mean it. Like the person who said, I'm going to become a novelist. Okay, tell me what you've done to learn writing. Oh, well, I haven't started yet, but it's a goal. Have you written any short stories? Well, not yet. Have you asked for advice from writing coaches? Well, I haven't got it yet. I'm planning on it. Blah, 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 blah. So you've got to have.
Let me ask you, Ed, the preparation to reach the goal, does it happen before you set it, or does it happen during or after?
Well, because you've got to have, you can have a goal to start with and give up. So a third aspect that I haven't got to yet is persistence, tenacity. So you've got to have a goal you're committed to, because it's personally important to you and you're going to put it into action.
Okay.
So how do you get commitment? A commitment is based on, number one, personally valuing the task, really valuing, not just word sound, and self-efficacy, which is task developed skill. So going back to the three issues, you need feedback, you need specificity, you need knowledge, and you need commitment to the
Persistency.
goal. And then you need to, when you fail, should I have a new strategy? Do I need new learning? Should I change goals? Should I have a longer time span? Should I get do some practice, etc. So those are the key elements to using goal setting in your personal life. Which I have. I used to motivate my own faculty when I was chair to use it on themselves, and then business people started using it for themselves. Because think of an organization where the CEO has no goal. How are they going to do?
Do you agree that there is intrinsic and extrinsic ways for motivation? Are you in that line that there are internal and external?
It's limited because it's missing one.
So what is it missing?
First one is intrinsic. You love the doing, such as I love selling, I love football, I love writing, I love writing programs. So you love I love law, I love doing justice, I love veterinary, taking care of animals, etc. Okay, so that's the doing. Loving the doing doesn't mean you're going to be good at it. Now, lots of people do things for fun with people who had no idea of making themselves better. Kind of frustrating to me because they're missing something. So it's like, I like the fresh air, I like talking to people, blah, blah, blah. So what's missing is achievement motivation. Achievement motivation is different. Achievement motivation is the wanting to do well based on a standard of excellence. So you can have intrinsic motivation without achievement motivation. Lots of people do. So you're going to have fun, but you're not going to be good at it. And it's not an obligation. You don't have to be great. You can be good. You can be okay. So achievement motivation is achieving excellence by hopefully a rational standard. The person who brought in achievement motivation, he was a champion of achievement motivation. Okay. And then the third kind is intrinsic motivation. You do it as a means to an end, such as good salary, meeting interesting people, learning from others, making friends that can be wider than just work. And to me, the ideal career is the combo package. We have an article on this with a friend, Oscar Schottke from Germany, who's in the journal called Motivation Science. And we're doing research to fully validate. We're claiming that the best job and the best performance is all three together. People really differ in their ambition.
Oh, how is the theory now? Are you still working on it?
Goal setting theory as such, we don't consider goal setting research finished, but Latham and I are finished because I'm 85 next week, and he's getting close to that, and we're not going to do any new research. Our latest summary of the whole thing is an article in a journal in the UK, which I can send to anyone who wants it. And it's a summary of the whole process from beginning to end.
This is the article you sent me?
I think it's the one in the
One
UK.
of them.
Yeah.
I do thank you for sending me that, because that very much helped me. You provided great insights to me to how to develop the compassionate leadership model. So I'm thanking you publicly for that.
If anyone wants to see theory building. Now, unlike many psychologists, they don't have theory building, they have theory stating. So I say, here's a theory. Isn't this brilliant? But they don't validate it. They don't validate it.
How do you validate a theory?
Research, 50 years of research by ourselves, not ourselves, ourselves and our students and others, and then putting it all together.
And also the feedback from others, if it's working or not. Yeah.
So just stating a theory, and there's a whole journal in management consisting of stated theory. Not one of those articles in, I don't know, 40 years has ever led to a validated theory. Never. So they write for each other. No business person could possibly use those articles. No one's ever done it because it's useless information. But goal setting theory is used by people in the real world.
Yes.
Because we validated it through experiment.
I'm very mindful of the time. Thank you for coming. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you for having me.